My initial reaction to finding out that the Liberals were voting against genocide is this is not your grandfather's Liberal Party anymore, is it? Ray Hurd joins me now, former Director of Communications for John Turner, a media mogul, and so on and so forth. You'll all know Ray. Ray, I was just dumbstruck that the Liberals could vote against genocide and then just slough it off as saying we need experts to tell us what's happening. This isn't how Liberals in the past would have reacted to this sort of thing.
Well, I think, and I'm a Liberal, and I'm very proud that 4 Liberals, and we'll get into this, voted against Justin Trudeau on this issue. But Justin Trudeau, as you know, Brian, has expressed admiration for dictators and tyrants, and he's also trying to butter up to the more extreme Muslim Canadian voters. So I think this is a deliberate move on his part not to become unpopular with, and he has a lot of...
I'm not sure that that there's any votes to be gained. There's no large voting bloc of people that support ISIS, I wouldn't think.
No, but there are people who would question whether it's genocide. I wouldn't question that. But Justin equivocates because the puppet master behind him, Gerald Butts, who pulls all the strings, told him that it was in the interest of the party to vote basically against genocide. I don't understand that logic. I'm sure they have their idea, and maybe one of the more extreme pro-Muslim MPs threatened to break and leave the caucus on this issue. I don't know what happened.
Okay, here's the argument that they're putting forward in public. They say that it's not up to politicians to make legal pronouncements such as genocide, and that they've asked the United Nations for a ruling on this. 2 thoughts on this. One, they're legislators, Ray. They're the people that make the laws, so yeah, they can go forward and pronounce on legal issues. It's what we elect them to do. But secondly, he has essentially farmed out our foreign policy to the UN in saying we won't call it genocide unless the UN tells us it's genocide. That's not Canada taking a stand. That's Canada waiting for someone to tell us what our opinion is.
That's Canada surrendering your and my sovereignty to the UN, which, as we all know, is a very corrupt organization. It spends most of its time demonizing Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East. So that's not surprising. But what is surprising is this. One of the 4 members of Parliament, Liberals, who voted with the Tories on this just resolution was from Mount Royal. Mount Royal has a very large Jewish constituency in Montreal, and guess whose riding that was?
So it was
Pierre Elliott Trudeau's riding. And the other thing that's important to stress is Obama, David Cameron, the Western European leaders. They've all branded what ISIS is doing as genocide. And let me tell you why it is genocide. They target Christians, Yazidis, members of other Muslim castes,
like
especially
Shias?
the Kurds, and that their attempt is literally to wipe them out. So it is genocide. And George Orwell, my hero, coined a term, newspeak. Newspeak is on the road to tyranny when Justin refuses to call a spade, or a rose, or genocide. It's a very dangerous sign in a democracy when a leader abuses the English language for his own motives or her own motives. And I must add, as a very unhappy Liberal, that I applaud the Conservative Party for bringing forward this motion. It was a smart move.
And then you
voters will remember.
Hold on, Ray. Then you Democrats voted with the Conservatives. So did the Bloc. So I have to say kudos to them. Let me ask you if you're happy with Justin Trudeau on another terrorism-related issue, and that's Robert Hall, the Canadian killed by Abu Sayyaf, the Islamic terrorist group out of the Philippines, fighting for a homeland of their own, a breakaway section of the Philippines, but trying to fund it through ransom and kidnapping. Trudeau refused to pay the ransom, given who it was going to, given what that would do to other Canadians traveling abroad, I have to say I think it was the right decision, albeit a tough one for the Hall family.
Okay, I disagree with you for one reason. There are secret ways of paying ransom. As you will recall, a senior Canadian diplomat, Fowler, was kidnapped, and the government of Canada doesn't officially have to pay ransom. Unofficially, they can. And getting back to Justin's father, Pierre Trudeau, in effect, paid ransom to send separatist terrorists from Quebec to Cuba on a government aircraft, which cost a lot of money. So governments pay ransoms. Obama freed terrorists from Guantanamo Bay in return for a possible traitor, Bergdahl, in Afghanistan. So it's something governments do. And I think Bob Ray, to his credit, has alluded to some of this in his postings in the Globe and Mail. So there's a de jure law, which Justin is following, don't pay ransom. But in the real world, we do pay ransom, and most Canadians will understand that. And Brian, that leads to the Orlando massacre. Mm-hmm. That's related to ISIS too.
Well, and the attack in Paris, where the
yes.
two police officials murdered while it was live streaming on the internet?
Yes. So that's tied in. And yes, Justin expressed condolences. And as far as I recall, his statement didn't mention the word terrorist. It certainly didn't mention that this gay terrorist, because his wife, his first wife, has said he's gay. He was a frequenter of gay bars in that area for years and years. Justin has to learn to use the English language directly, but doesn't do so. And so far, he's getting away with it. It'll be interesting to see what the media says in Canada about this, because I detect the media are getting a bit upset with Justin's sunny, rosy ways, which are not matched by meaningful actions on, Brian, the big issues. Assisted suicide, he waffles. Marijuana, he wants kids to get criminal records for using marijuana, even though he's going to make it legal. So these are the issues, and the other is electoral reform. We don't know where he stands on that. I think there should be a referendum. So on the big issues, and what issue is bigger, Brian, than ISIS genocide in today's world, which Justin Trudeau just brushes off?
Well, yeah, I asked Navdeep Bains, one of the ministers in his cabinet, why'd you vote against it? And he started saying we need to talk about substantive issues. I had to stop him and say, what are you saying? ISIS is not substantive? I don't know why they voted against the genocide motion. I think it was foolish, and I think it's a repudiation of the responsibility to protect doctrine that they used to hold up as a great liberal value.
And I admire the NDP and even the Bloc for understanding the issue. It seems only Justin Trudeau and his caucus fail to appreciate how serious this issue is for Canadians. And Brian, we often forget Ottawa was hit by terrorists, and were it not for the Sergeant at Arms, a very brave Canadian, 100 MPs could have been massacred on Parliament Hill. So we mustn't assume this is an American problem or a French problem. It's a universal problem. It's a Canadian problem. And we've had two cases very similar to the Orlando one, by the way, but with, fortunately, because of our courage and our RCMP's effective means of combating terrorism, we are in the same league as the rest of the world. And Justin doesn't understand that.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Ray. Thanks for the time. Great chat as always.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.